gonna let people sign in for a few minutes to make sure that we aren't jumping the gun. But for those of you that don't know who we all are, I can start. So I'm Gwen Campbell of Dr. Judy Morgan's Naturally Healthy Pets. Dr. Judy is my mom, but I did not start out working for her or even working in the pet industry. And if you guys want to introduce yourself and a little bit of Paldega, that might be a good start.
Yes, we are Charlie and Larry from Paldega. We are based in the UAE in Dubai, and we have opened the first holistic and natural pet health store in the Middle East. And yeah, we've
congratulations. That's amazing, by the way. And very brave. You guys have guts. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy. We had to jump through over a lot of obstacles, but we did it, and we open now for 1 year. So that was a huge milestone as well for us.
Congratulations. I love it. And so you guys at Paldega, my understanding is that do you have a physical store as well as online, or you're all online?
So at the moment we are completely online, and we do next day deliveries throughout the entire country. And we actually do some deliveries to neighboring countries in the region.
Nice. Okay. So you guys had to learn all of like the compliance stuff and import, export, all of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we do it all. We
Wow.
learned about imports, customs, duties, and registrations and all of it.
Jeez. Okay. So you guys are all online. I thought you did some stuff in person, but I may be thinking of like when you do in events and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do events. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, we are very similar. We're all online. We have over 350 products at this point. We're not set up for retail, but we have had some people come in that are just happen to be close by, but retail is not exactly what we focus on. And so today I did want to be mindful. I think a lot of people that signed up do have retail locations. So there are I know a lot of the events and stuff that you guys did would also be helpful ideas for a retail location, but we're going to try to talk about online and and in-person shopping just to try to cover as many bases as we can.
Awesome.
Okay. So I want to know a little bit about your background and how you guys even got started. Like, what made you want to be like the groundbreakers in the UAE, starting the first holistic pet care store?
Yeah, you want me to take that, or
yeah?
So it all started with our dog, Milka.
Of course, as always.
Yeah, she was sick. She was like having hot spots. She was throwing up like almost every night at one point. And we were taking her to the vet, and they were saying, oh, she's eating really great food. Maybe just switch up the brand or check
dry food.
Feeding dry food and this premium kibble. So we were told. And then we asked about feeding her a raw food diet, and she was like, absolutely not, don't do that. So we're like, okay, she's a veterinarian, this is what she says, that we won't feed raw.
Right.
But she kept having problems. We were switching brands, and at one point we spoke to a friend who's actually been telling us to feed raw, and we're like, no, the vet said no. And then we had another friend who's a vet student also saying no. So
long story short, we switched to raw, and
everyone told you not to, but you did it anyway.
yeah, exactly. So
exactly. So then we were like, okay, she got so much better just within 2 weeks. We were like, what in the world? Like, how can it be possible that a veterinarian tells me not to feed this? It was the only thing that made my dog better. Yeah. So that led us on on doing so much research, onto what is this food, why are veterinarians saying not to feed it. Then we found out there's actually a difference between holistic veterinarians and conventional vets. I had no idea. And then we flew out to
Chicago.
to Chicago, just to learn more about raw feeding. And we actually did it because we also travel a lot. So we're like, oh, we're going to do a travel vlog. And then,
I love that.
Yeah, to Chicago. And when we got there, we met up, we spoke to so many holistic vets there, and they were all talking about cancer rates in dogs.
And also that month was Pet Cancer Awareness Month. So we realized like, oh, wow, we have all of these amazing, incredible holistic vets right there, and they are so ready to share their story. So we turned this travel vlog into a pet cancer awareness video because we got so many incredible interviews on that trip. So yeah, and that pretty much is how we started.
Yeah, so and then we just kept sharing our information like to all the pet parents here.
And at some point, I mean, because we actually created our platform and our Instagram and YouTube channel way before we started Podega. So we were, I think, already helping pet parents move to like a more natural lifestyle for 3 years before Podega actually launched. So the issue that we kept having over here was that we keep telling people like, try this, try that, pre and probiotics. But there's nothing here, there's no products here that we would be recommending that don't have fillers, that are actually completely natural. So when you keep telling people go overseas and do your shopping there, and the likelihood that people are going to do it is very little. So at some point we said, okay, we have to bring all of these amazing products here to the UAE.
Wow, that's amazing. And so that's an amazing story. I did not know all of that. So thank you for sharing. And I want to circle back on that when we talk about a little bit later some of the strategies, because I think that some of the experiences that you had are also really helpful for a lot of other business owners, and the way that you guys have, like you said, gotten those interviews. I do want to circle back on that because I feel like that is something that a lot more people could be doing, making those connections and things in the pet industry. Okay, perfect. So just a little background on me. I actually have the sort of opposite story. Both my parents are veterinarians. So I thought I was going to be a veterinarian up until I was going to go to college, and I had to actually like choose my path. And at that point, a lot of veterinary medicine was going corporate. The pay was very low and the debt was very high, and it just seemed like a very stressful industry. So I didn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. I ended up going to school to be an engineer. So my degree is in engineering. And my defining moment in the way I think about business was when I had an internship and a job offer on Wall Street. And that is like, to me, Wall Street is the complete opposite of what I'm doing now. And, it was just all about money. That was all anyone cared about. And just, I realized being in that scenario that really bothered me. And I felt like I was waking up every morning to go do something that I didn't really care about. I wasn't passionate about. So I started working at a small startup company that helped kids with some special needs and things like that, which obviously fit the bill of what I was looking for a lot better. And then my mom, when she had some growth opportunities and I was looking for a new job, she was like, well, do you want to give it a try? It's like, sure, why not? So I've always been really passionate about this, but I never wanted to enter into the pet industry because it just seemed like, it's so flooded with so many products, so many companies. We have some veterinarians that are saying the complete opposite of what we're saying. There's just so many variables that seemed challenging to me that I didn't want to tackle. But being in it for the last, 2+ years, I think that there is so much potential in the industry for more people to be doing the holistic and natural pet care. And I really hope that anyone that listens to this recording is going to be inspired to keep either entering or pushing into that space. So that's my big goal.
That's definitely, I love what you just said, because I think it's so important. That was one of the reasons why when we opened the store, we always said, well, we hope that we can inspire other pet stores to be the regulators in a way, because there's really no one regulating what pets are exposed to. So we are one of the last lines of defense when it comes to protecting animals.
Absolutely, 100%. So I guess since I started talking about business, could you guys I'm so curious to hear, when I approached you about the idea of doing a webinar on ethical business, we didn't actually talk about what the definition of ethical business is. So I would really love to hear how you guys kind of define it and how that has been a part of you building your business.
Yeah, we spoke about it when we went over the questions this morning, a couple hours. We were like, ethical, like, what is the definition of ethical? So my definition of ethical might be completely different from somebody else's definition of ethical. I think Charlie explained the definition of ethical way better than I did. So I think I'm going to let her think about how we think about ethical business.
You're putting me on the spot. Okay.
No pressure, Charlie.
No, so, well, I said earlier to Larry, and I'm going to say it again. I think, just like Larry said, actually, I think being ethical, an ethical business can mean something completely different to me than, to everyone watching right now. So I feel like in order to really understand what ethical means, you kind of also have to ask yourself, what are your values as a person and as a business? Like for us personally, we like the way that we just talked about how we started Podega, it was very much like we wanted to find the truth. Like, why did that vet tell us not to feed raw? What's the truth? Where's all of this misinformation coming from? Why is the vet telling me not to do something that ended up being the only part or the only thing that helped my dog? For us, being like the truth and education, sharing knowledge is so important to us. So that is what we put the base of our business on, basically. And we kind of took it, I don't actually know how to really put it into words, but we are so into being the safest. Like, we don't want to just offer safe products to pets, because we see all of this misinformation that's going on, and all of the, now everywhere you see the word natural on the front of the label, but then you turn it around and it's actually not really natural. So like, we're so tired of seeing this. And the more research that we did before we opened Podega, the more we actually got tired of this entire greenwashing and everything that's going on. So for us, we have our values, and sticking to our values is like the most important thing. And those values do not include money. So they are keeping our pets safe. Sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I think you said it in a really amazing way. So I'm glad you got put on the spot. I think that's pretty much perfect. I mean, for me, ethical business is just really about, having those morals and ethics where you actually care about people, you care about the animals, and you're putting that first. Like for us, we're always thinking about instead of saying, like, how can we make more money? It's how can we provide more opportunities for our clients? And so I think it's just really, for us, it's kind of like a two-part thing. We have those morals and values, like you said, that is your foundation, and you don't stray away from that. And then I feel like just even the mindset shift with money, there's obviously nothing wrong with making money. Businesses have to make money to continue. And I think everyone should be fairly compensated. I'm pretty vocal about that. But at the same time, I don't want my main driver to be making more money. I want to figure out, how can we provide a service, a product, something that people need and want? Because then it's, basically just supply and demand. That's not like me. I don't have to trick anyone into buying it,
Yeah.
So something else that I think is super important, like when I think about ethical businesses, and I know that not everyone can actually do what we do and be so rigorous in saying no to 99% of the pet products on the market. I know not everyone can do it, but when I look at what other pet stores can do, I always think about, actually not just reading the ingredients, but actually researching, understanding ingredients, and knowing what impact they have and what impact the products in general have on the pets, the humans, and the environment, which personally for us it was very important also to be sustainable as well. So I think, just generally speaking, I think for me, being an ethical business means what impact your products have, and you're not hurting an animal, a human, or the environment, or you try to do your best to offset. I know we can't all, for example, plastic, we can't all get around it, but we can do things to kind of offset what we do as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I'm curious, when you are vetting for products that you potentially want to add to your store, obviously you're very rigorous and research based on the product side and the ingredient side. I'm curious if, your interactions with the company or anything about the business side of things, if that sways you one way or the other, or it's mostly just about like the actual quality of the products.
That's a really great question. I think it depends.
It does though. Like if we feel like our answers are trying to be like, cut around, we're very intuitive as well. Like if we don't have a good, vibe, then
no, yeah.
But also we don't honestly really work with big brands. We
most of the brands we work with, we know almost all of the owners personally. That's another beauty of with natural brands. A lot of the companies, they are small, they're family owned, they're family run. Or they are like in it themselves, they're in touch with the product. They know everything that's going on. So if we have a question, very rarely do we need to reach out to the owner. I mean, thankfully we know how to do our own research. But if for whatever reason we need to be in touch with an owner or one of the higher ups, then it's easier for us to reach out to them.
Absolutely.
So, but just like Charlie said, if a brand, there has been times where we want to ask questions and then they're like, nah, I'm not really trying to answer that question. It's like, okay, well, then we have to really think about whether or not we want to bring this brand in if they can't answer questions. Because, when we call ourselves one of the safest stores in the world, our customers test us on that,
right.
So ask us a question. We have to come up with answers, so if we can't answer questions, then it doesn't make us look good. So I think all of the brands that we work with actually are very happy to share freely the information that we ask for.
I think that I wholeheartedly agree. And when I came on board, we started significantly smaller than we are now, but same thing. She was pretty much like personal, friends, or at least had, been around them in person with a lot of the owners of the companies. But as we started expanding and started growing and bringing on new brands, we decided that as basically a company brand policy is we have to not only agree with what's in the product and the quality of the product, but we also have to feel very comfortable with basically putting our name behind the brand or company, because that does reflect on you. And of course, things like recalls or defects, like that stuff always happens, whatever. But in general, and funny that you mentioned companies not really wanting to be super direct with you. I'm actually having an issue right now that I'm going to have to figure out, because there's a there's a vendor that I've been asking questions and I've been getting basically no answers. And so that doesn't feel good. And it doesn't feel good with if our clients contact that company and we're like, well, Dr. Judy and her team says that you're a great company. How come you're blowing me off, you know? And so that is really, really tough when you're put in those situations, especially when it's, you know, a company that has a high quality product. I'm like, oh, could you just be direct with me for 5 minutes and we can work together, you know? It's frustrating, but we have to make those hard decisions sometimes where saying, is it worth me potentially damaging my, like what I say I do? I say that we have to be transparent and we have to know this information. So it really puts you in a bit of a bind. And I've found that the relationships that we can make with other business professionals, especially in like the holistic pet care space, it's such a small community when we really drill down into it. I feel like that's been one of the best things that we have done by far, is just making those connections and having that relationship with people where we can communicate and trust each other and, you know, be very up to speed with what each company is doing.
Yeah,
that's so true.
You know, it's so amazing because like with our platform, we're actually able to do interviews with a lot of the brand owners, and I think it's just such an amazing thing. You know, I don't know any other pet store that can reach out to a dry food company and say, hey, let's do an interview.
Oh yeah.
Like, and even if they did, what would they talk about? You know, like they would do all of this and not answer any, you know. So like the brand owners and of these companies, they want to talk about that, about the products that they're making and how it can improve the life of all of these animals. So I think it's for us within this industry, I think we have it much easier when it comes to getting transparent information.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. And I've had the same experience where people are very open to helping, collaborating. And I really feel like, I mean, we sent out a bunch of like gifts during the holidays to people and stuff like that. Like, it's just been a really important, powerful thing for us, making those connections. And the people have been really nice and helpful. It's honestly been one of the best parts of entering into the pet industry, is this little niche of holistic pet care that we're in. Yeah. So you mentioned, Larry, you had mentioned that the pet industry regulations are not the best. So I want to know from you all, I mean, why is this whole ethical business in the pet industry? Sorry, my lights just turned off. But why, besides, you know, obviously the regulations, maybe if you could talk about that a little bit, but also, you know, if there's any other reasons why you feel passionate about this topic. But specifically, I want you to talk about also the regulation piece, because I think that's super important for people to realize.
Yeah, I mean, so for me, I think that when we look at and I think I can speak for many countries outside of the United States and outside of Europe, a lot of the products are coming from the US. They're coming from Europe, and they're coming from Australia, you know, and where there is a certain level of regulation, but it's not necessarily actually regulated or enforced.
Right. Yeah.
So when it comes to like a place like this in Dubai, for example, you know, because products are not really made here, it's not like we can see what's happening in America from here, right? So we just import the products. So we try to say, okay, well, if they're not going to regulate it in America or enforce the laws in America, well, we're going to make sure that these products don't enter into our store, because we have an obligation to pet parents to make sure that they only get safe products from us, you know. So I mean, there's so many recalls, like you just touched on recalls going on. There's so many recalls for like within dry pet food and within all over the industry. So we have to make sure that we're actually observing what's happening throughout the entire industry and making sure like, okay, and staying up to date on information. So just because, you know, there's a recall happening in another country doesn't mean that the products are being recalled in this country, you know? So
I think also a great example is the shampoo, pet shampoo, and there not actually being any regulations on them having to show the ingredients. Like you can list, you can say at the bottom, at the back of the bottle, you can say includes, and then you can list 5 ingredients, but actually there's 20 ingredients that you don't have to list. And unless the product is certified organic, actually certified organic, then you just don't know what is in that bottle of shampoo. So that's like, and people put this on their pets and they think they're putting a natural product on their pets. And pet parents all just want the best for their pets. But it's just, as a pet parent, it's incredibly, it's almost impossible, honestly. It's a full-time job for Larry and me to try.
Yeah, exactly. It's a full-time job.
So it's like, how are you supposed to do this when you're a pet parent with an actual full-time job, you know? So that's why I feel like the pet industry has become a dumping ground almost for everything that's, you know, not fit for human consumption, or, you know. And it's so important to know what your customers are exposing their pets to, because people just see natural on the front of the bottom, front of the bottle, and then they think that they're actually a natural product. So yeah,
there's so many tricky things like that you would never know unless you are literally like, this is your career path. And so I always use the example with pet food here in the US, because there's basically like 6 months after they change the food, then they have to change the label. And I'm like, how can someone hear that and not be absolutely appalled that they could completely change what's in their pet food and they don't even have to notify you until 6 months later? And that's if someone comes knocking on their door to double check, or they just are, you know, moral and ethical and do it right away. So the thing that I always try to speak about with pet parents is, unfortunately, you can't trust the industry as a whole. And that's really sad. And I don't even feel like I can trust, you know, half the veterinarians that I've gone to because they've given me information that I don't agree with. And so trust is so important when we're talking about products that you're going to put in and on your animals, bring into your home, their food, because there are regulations, there are regulatory bodies, but in a lot of ways, you either don't find out that there's something bad in it until after the fact, or not at all. And at that point, it's really a trust exercise when you're buying something for your pet, to be honest. That's how I think about it.
Yeah.
This is a great point. What were you going to say?
No,
hold your thought.
I'll try.
This is a great point, because, you know, what you just mentioned about pet food manufacturers not having to change their ingredient list only 6 months after. This is happening in supplements as well, I believe. We've been now open for just over a year, and now we said, wait, actually, you know, we have to still keep watching what's coming into our store. So now we do random audits on the products that come into our store and check all of the ingredients to make sure that they are still what they say, or still what they have said they are. You know, so it's just, you know, we have to set ourselves up to be the regulators, you know. I can't imagine, you know, I always think about the very first day that I went into a pet store and I was searching for pet food. I didn't know anything at all, you know. So for me to go onto a shampoo bottle and I'm supposed to know that the word includes does not mean all of the ingredients. How would I know that? You know,
exactly.
Like, why would I know that as a pet parent? You know, like there's so many labeling regulations where pet manufacturers can get away with so much that a pet parent would not know.
Oh yeah, it's
I think
terrifying.
yeah, so I'm proud, to say that we are a research-based pet health store, so because we really do look at understand labelings and all of this to make sure that we are actually, providing a safe environment for pet parents.
And I think that is really, really great advice to anyone that is going to be in the pet industry, whether, they're just working at a company that has just one product or like ours that have many products. It is very important to know your products, know your brands, and do that research. If you're going to onboard and bring someone into your store or a product into your store, you're putting it under your brand, your name, and you're associating that with you. And so you have to, you may be an ethical person, but by association, you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble if you let those things come under your brand and, something bad happens or whatever. So I do think that's a very, very good point, is having that, vetting process to make sure that you're not going to accidentally, bring something in and you didn't do your research and it turns out it has some really bad ingredients in it or something. So I think that's a really good point. Charlie, did you want to mention something before we?
No.
Okay. So I'm really excited for this question because I think this is probably like the biggest dilemma that all of us have that think about business this way, is how on earth do you think about like balancing profit, money, financials, what your customers need and want, and also what was the third thing? Profit. Oh, and just like your ethical business values.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great question.
It's, we have talked about this with other businesses as well, how hard it can be sometimes actually, be ethical and truly stand your ground and truly go with what is right and not what is going to make money now. And just to give you guys an example, for example, we got approached by a brand who wanted their product in our store, and it was a natural, looking brand, and it was mostly natural as well. And they were explaining this to us, and we don't have any product like this in our store, so it would have been a great addition. And they say, oh yeah, but we have to use synthetic ingredients to make it stick in the way, but it's still so much better than all of the chemical stuff that's on the market. And we're just like, it's not happening. It's not happening at Bodega. Right. Because, like, we could offer our customers the safer option, and then we have that product and we can make revenue, like we can, make money on that product, but that is not why we're here. We are here to offer the safest products, not just the safer option. Like, that's our mission and that's our ethics, and that is what we stand for. And that is what our customers know we stand for. And I think the way that we have dealt with, like making balancing profits and customer satisfaction and ethics is to really, 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 really communicate that with our customers. Our customers know we are the safest store in this country and in this region. So they know that if we bring in a product, they know they have a peace of mind because we communicate it on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, on, we do Facebook Live, like we educate, we bring on the brands, and they meet the brands and they see, oh, this is who actually makes my probiotics. This is awesome, So I feel like the being transparent and really taking your customers and taking them behind the scenes and, giving them like an insight. And sometimes we just pick up the phone and we're like, we say something like, this just happened. And, now we're turning this down and now we're bringing this in. And, so I feel like that's how we dealt with the very difficult task sometimes to be profitable and ethical at the same time, because we just don't have, you know, the other day we saw a pet store who was advertising they have 500 products or
5,000.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, 5,000. Oh, wow. so we were like, we could never ever
When he
have
said
5,000 products.
Do 5,000 products fit your criteria? I don't think so. I don't know.
No. When he said 5,000, at that time he had 100 products, and we're like, 5,000, like, because we write all of our product pages and we do it all ourselves. We explain every single ingredient, and now we don't just give you a one-liner. Like, we explain the benefits of every single ingredient of every single product in our store, the materials, everything you get. And I was like, I couldn't imagine doing 5,000 pages.
Yeah, definitely a different strategy. Volume versus like lower volume, higher quality for sure.
And you know, even what comes up a lot is things like getting sponsors from, you know, the big candy companies, like on, you know, your banner, like your
tent or your flag,
when you go on events, you know, everything is sponsored. And that's another thing where a lot of I'm sure a lot of holistic independent pet stores that are watching right now, we just don't have that funding, like everything's self-funded, right? So right. It makes it a little bit more complicated sometimes that way as well. But our customers, again, it's communication, telling our customers about it, being transparent about it. I feel like it really binds the customers to us. And we have customers who come to us and they say, you know, they come to us first,
right?
Before they go elsewhere, or sometimes even their vet. Not that I say this, not that I endorse this, but that is just to show you like how much trust you can develop with your customer if you really have that mission and that those ethics that and your customers know about it and understand it.
Oh, that you're spot on. I 100% agree with you. I think the customer connection and that communication is really important. And a lot, like we were talking about earlier, a lot of these pet parents don't know, and they're willing to pay, you know, $2 more or whatever it is for a bag of treats that doesn't have all the fillers and crap in it, but they don't know that that's why it's $2 more expensive, you know? And so that communication, I feel like, bridges the gap. There's so many people now that are getting interested in doing better by their animals, and they're very interested. They want to learn at least enough that they can be confident that they're, you know, buying the right things. But if they don't know, then if they're just comparing, you know, prices or things, a lot of these products are going to be more expensive than, you know, the generic mass-produced versions of, you know, probiotics or whatever it is. And for us, I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, just changing our mindset from like, you know, how can we make more money to how can we provide more, has been a really big help for us. But also, I think something that's really important as business owners or business professionals is we have to be cognizant of what our actual mission statement is and what our actual ethics and values are. And I feel like so many people skip that step because it just seems like intuitive. But actually having an idea of what your mission is, what your criteria is for, you know, onboarding new products or working with someone, having that laid out, to me, it's just a really nice guide where if you're ever put in a little bit of a questionable situation, you can say, okay, does it fit my criteria? Does it fit my, you know, business criteria? And then make a decision from there. So just even defining what your brand is about, what you are about, what you stand for, I think is really like needs to be step number one in the process. And the other thing that I was going to mention, the connection with customers, but I think you guys did a wonderful job doing that. But the other thing that we've started to focus on is, because we're not trying to just churn out as much volume as possible to get as much money as possible, is keeping a very close eye on your costs and your overhead. Is very important, because that is just straight money savings every month. If you can cut those things back, or if you can ask, vendors, is there a certain minimum order quantity where I get free shipping? Is there a certain quantity where I get a price break? Because that's direct savings, where that's money that stays in your company's bank account. We had a vendor who he was insisting on shipping things expedited. And I was like, that's so expensive. Please don't do that. And, like just changing that, like requesting to change the shipping, can save you a lot of money. So there's so many little things like that where I feel like people so often in business put the responsibility of their business making more money on their customer, as in, I need more customers, or I need my customers to spend more money. When in reality, I think we also need to take accountability for the fact that we need to be making an honest effort to lower our costs, so that way there's more profit that we can work with, and we're not constantly just trying to pull that money out of the pocket of our customers. And like I said, this is just how we think of it. There's no one right answer, but yeah, that's kind of how we have evolved into our mission of naturally healthy pets.
I love that you just said that, because that's literally what we're going through right now. It's like, okay, we have to start, looking at our costs, because they're starting to creep up, and we want to try to minimize our costs as well, because it's also important, because we need to be able to invest into new things and bring in more innovative things that can help more pet parents at the end of the day.
Awesome.
One more thing.
Yeah, no, go for it.
Something very practical for everyone who's watching right now. It's a little, I guess you can do it both if you have an in-store shop and an online shop. So also what we are doing, and we've done it since we opened the bodega, was we plant a tree for every probiotic product that we sell. And giving your customers value like this also helps, balancing the ethics and the profit as well, because for us personally, the environment is really important. It's always been like that. When we always knew that if we would ever start a business, we would do anything to help the environment as well. So, but for us, we've noticed that some of our customers would actually rather shop with us because of the benefit that every product plants a tree. So also a way where you can show your ethics, show your values, and at the same time, it also gives you a competitive advantage sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think I did want to hear some of your advice on helpful strategies. And I think that is a really helpful strategy, whether it's like you include a free gift or a discount for your first time customer, or whatever it is, any type. We have noticed significant improvements in our, engagement and things like that when people have some little extra incentive, whether it's a coupon, a free gift, you plant a tree with every, purchase of probiotics. A lot of our customers have said that they really enjoy those types of things. Are there other strategies that you guys have employed that you found either worked or really didn't work when you're trying to build your business?
Yeah. So I just want to say, in the UAE, we have absolutely no holistic veterinarians. So we are the only source for holistic care when it comes really helping to fight disease and cancer for a lot of pet parents. And remember when I said, the veterinarian who told me not to feed raw, or told us not to feed raw, so we really push for testimonial reviews. So because we found, and now we are starting to see, a lot of our new customers are looking at reviews, and they're more inclined to make a purchase of something that can help their animal. So I would say reviews. Try to get your customers to leave reviews for you.
So
did you guys incentivize people to leave reviews?
Yeah, so the way that we do it, and I find it very, very effective actually, we send out emails about 3 weeks after they purchase a product online, and it's automated. So they get an email, and what I find very important is that I don't just ask them, okay, tell me, how did you like it? Or you don't to give you 5 stars or you know, however many stars they want to give. But for us, what worked really well is to ask them specific questions. So what we ask them is, we ask them, what did you buy? Why did you buy this product? How did this product help you in, you know, enhancing health, or whichever reason they bought it for? Basically, how did the product help you? And then also, what was your Bodega experience? So we want to know, how have we helped? So that also is really great. And then we have a suggestions box in there as well, which doesn't get posted publicly on the review, but it's just for us internally. So there's a lot of good information too that people tell us. And if they fill out all of the boxes, then they get $5 off on their next purchase. So we do incentivize it, and we ask questions, and then because we ask these specific questions, people will say really crazy stuff sometimes. So then like good stuff, you know. So they would have never said that if we just asked, how did you like the product?
Yeah, so, they'll just be like, good. You know.
So that then lets us take that review and put it on Instagram, and put it, like, sometimes we send out flyers or emails, and it just goes in there as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think that is excellent advice for anyone in any industry, is to ask specific questions when you're looking for feedback and reviews. Absolutely. Also, having that customer connection is extremely important, whether that's through surveys, reviews, one-on-one phone calls, if you're retail, in person, meeting the customers and asking them questions. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people in the company, for us, we're small, so it doesn't really apply, but in general, when people in a company at like a manager level and above don't really deal with the customers, because that's like customer service's job, it drives me a little insane, because then you completely lose your customer connection. And so I'm not saying that the CEO should be picking up the phone calls, but I think if you're a business owner, you definitely need to find ways to get feedback from your customers that you can use as a guide to guide your business decisions. So for us, we talk a ton with people. We're all over social media, phone calls, email, whatever. So we really feel like we have our finger on the pulse with our community. But obviously there's always room for improvement. But I 100% agree with you. Anything that gets you more information directly from the customer is very valuable, even if it's, a bit critical. There have been things that, hurt your feelings or whatever. Someone posts something online or is false or whatever. And it's very hard to hear that. It's very hard to hear any negative feedback or any negative critiques. But I've found that even if, there's no basis in the negativity or anything like that, I still find it's important to question, what can I learn from this customer? And where did this go wrong, and what can I change? What can I improve upon? It's not just about getting pats on the back about how amazing you are. That's always nice. But it's also looking at ways that you can improve too. Sometimes that comes from a little bit of a harsh place like the internet. But we've still been able to learn things about, what to do and maybe what not to do. I'm interested. So you're big on social media. So you use Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, we are, but we don't really use it.
Yeah.
No, not that much.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other social media platforms that you guys have used or found success with? or not success with. TikTok, we're on TikTok, but we don't, it's just
Yeah.
for fun because we don't really know how to
So many
do anything
platforms,
with it.
like it's just too much.
Yeah.
It feels like our audience or our customers, I would not really say are on TikTok.
Yeah. I think it really depends on where your audience is. So we started on Facebook really heavily, and we have a big global international following there. But then when we started Podega, we realized that the UAE, our UAE customer base is actually on Instagram. So now we're more active on Instagram than on Facebook. And yeah, that's just what works for us though.
And how did you figure that out, that your actual customers were more active on one platform than the other?
Engagement. So the because we personally engage with everyone, like customers, and we just we actually saw them, like we saw them engage with us on Instagram, and no one really ever engaged with us on Facebook from Dubai.
Not really. It's so weird.
We also do have a Facebook group as well. So
oh, nice. Okay.
As far as platforms go, and the Facebook group works well as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, I was gonna say it's so weird because our audience, like our customers, are mostly on Instagram. I think they feel more comfortable to message us on Instagram than they do on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Facebook has been our main platform, but same thing. We're starting to notice that Instagram has definitely picked up pretty significantly. But we also, on our website, for people that don't use or don't want to use social media, we created our own free community. It's kind of like a Facebook group. It's just on our website instead. But I do think that people in general like to be part of, communities, groups, things that they can meet like-minded people. I've heard lots of success with that. I think the point that you're making about just kind of catering to your demographic and paying attention to, okay, we're noticing these trends, or like why all of a sudden, we posted a probiotic on Instagram, we got way more sales. Why did that happen? Just asking those questions and trying to find out a little bit more information can lead to some really awesome insight. And I think the location piece that you mentioned is especially applicable for retail stores. Because, if you have no online options for purchasing and shipping, then spending your time trying to get potential customers that are 1,000 miles away isn't really a great use of your time. Not to say that it couldn't evolve into something someday down the road, but in the interim, you might want to try to do, in-person events, or you might want to try to do a more educational thing if you can get a guest speaker or something to come into your shop and make basically an excuse for people to come into your location and come to you. Spending more time allocating that effort into something that's going to come to fruition instead of something that you're going to spend time and money on and people can't even buy your products.
Yeah.
Have you guys done anything? Well, I guess what have you guys done as far as like your strategy with education and using that to kind of build your brand? Have you had any specific strategies?
That's a great question.
What do you can you
so
tell
like
me?
For you provide a lot of educational content to your demographic, and I'm just curious if you guys have any strategy behind that as far as like who you bring on to do guest lives or who you ask to do content for you. Like, do you guys have any type of strategy or notice things that work better than others when you're doing those types of things?
I honestly, like, we are both very just like, when we see something, we have to say something. So, a lot of our
what just pissing me off right now? This is the third time.
not what we're saying, but it's not what we do. But that's how a lot of our content does evolve. But yeah, so who we bring on, so we do bring on the founders of the companies who we actually have in our store, but then also we bring on holistic vets and holistic and integrative vets and pet professionals in the industry, who most of them we actually know personally, but also a lot of them have been introduced through us through Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've done a lot of education based strategies, because for us that's really fit into our niche of I feel good about it. I feel good about that being one of my growth strategies. So some of the things that we've done, we sometimes will focus on like social media engagement, but a lot of the times we're focusing more on our email list, because as you had mentioned, that gives you a great opportunity to set up some automations where you can give them, a special coupon or ask for a review or something like that. So for email captures, we typically do free content. So we've done webinars like this one where you just have to sign up to get the recording. It's completely free. We've done PDF downloads, like little guides and stuff that people were asking for, that gets emailed to you. We do the summits, which is a bit of a bigger thing. I don't know that any small mom and pop shop would really want to do something that big, but it'd be the same as, having an event at your shop and you have a piece of paper that goes around and people can write down their email to be sent a coupon. There's so many creative ways that you can find the value that you can still provide to your customer, and they're providing value back to you. Where it's not like I don't feel like I'm tricking someone to give me their email address or stealing it off the internet. It's like, I'm providing you with some amazing information and education, and in exchange, you're now part of our community and you can leave at any time.
Yeah. No, it's exactly actually what I'm working on, like whenever my schedule clears up a little. Yeah, so the PDFs, actually the downloadable PDFs, where you have to put in your email address and then you get it sent, that's actually something I've been wanting to do for so long, and I'm just struggling to find the time for it. But yeah, thanks, I'll definitely on that again.
We've had great success with those, and again, I had a kid a year and a half ago, and so I bought some guides that were literally just PDFs. I bought them for like $10-$20 or something like that, to get the download. But I felt like it was worth it because I learned information that I got from that download. Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to say that a lot of our educational content comes from very, very much frequently asked questions. So whether it's allergies, whether it be joint support, deworming. Whatever comes up frequently for us and through our customer service, then we try to have like a professional opinion on it, to speak about that topic. And then whatever we learn that we think is like really fascinating, then we try to create content for that. And we try to do it in many different ways. So we'll do a YouTube video or a Facebook Live or a post or
post.
And now we've just started doing reels. So just to like try to figure out ways to give people that information so that they can start thinking about the products that they're using or just the way that their animal is living. What are they exposed to? So just trying to figure out, how do customers like to receive information? We're still learning.
Stories work very well for
single
us.
day. So stories work really, really well for us.
Yeah, and I think it's always evolving. And so something interesting that we noticed, we don't have any, big fancy customer management softwares or anything like that, because we just can't afford it. But we use just Facebook and Instagram, some of their demographic information, just to keep tabs on our audience. And for when I came on board, I think within like a few months, our demographic was like 10 years younger, just because I was starting to throw out some ideas that like resonated with me and kind of my age group. So it's always evolving. And even without me coming on board, that may have happened just, from younger people getting more interested in holistic care. But I do think that is a really important point, is trying to figure out not only what do your customers need and want, but how can you maintain that connection with them? Is it via email? Is it via social media? Is it, just in person whenever they come to your shop? I will say, if you do have an in-person like retail location, I would still try to find ways that you can capture some type of way to communicate with your customers. Because that is really important for us, where we can be, if someone, like you said, if they open their product and they're confused or they don't like it or whatever, I want them to come to me. I don't want them to, go all over the internet and say bad things. I want them to come to me so we can have communication and I can take care of them and I can help them. So that line of communication for us has been really important.
Yeah.
Have you guys done anything as far as like, do you guys have, so you guys actually have a really good, what I would consider tagline, which is like a one-liner, like, this is the really awesome thing about my business. And you guys have the UAE's first and only holistic and natural store. I don't think most of us can be that awesome with our taglines. That's a really good one. But just having something like that, just, a little one-liner, a little just something that stays in the customer's mind when they think of you, I think is really great.
So I'm just laughing because you said it's so awesome, but like people come to us and like, this is controversial, This
really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they think that there are
other business owners, other like, hey, like, it's true, and I work really, really hard to be able to even say something like this,
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and
you need to know.
And actually,
for those that don't know what the line is it's
no, she said that's the line she meant, but we have another line.
Oh, okay. Actually. Yeah. What's the other one?
Okay.
So with every box that gets shipped out from our store has a sticker on it, and it says, "I like my pet products like I like my people, non-toxic."
Oh, I love that. Do you guys come up with that?
Yeah.
We
wow.
We do a lot of creative thinking.
Yeah. So and actually that's something else. If you have an online store, or even if you have an in-store, creating Instagrammable moments, as I like to call them. When we first launched, this box was everywhere. You could not go on Instagram without seeing our slogan on Instagram. So it's that's one way. Yeah,
that is amazing. And I didn't even think about that, but that is so genius. I made a note because I'm gonna definitely figure out how we can.
I think I have one here. I'll check. Hold on. Yeah, this is the sticker that goes on every box.
I love that. But see, like, you created some type of positive, memorable moment for your customer that they felt so compelled to post it on social media. And that's basically just like free advertising with your brand on it. That's amazing.
And we also have some thank you cards sometimes, or in the beginning we put thank you cards on it. And still sometimes when we go to, sometimes we still make personal deliveries from time to time. And then we'll see like the card hanging on the fridge and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah. Or
I do love that.
Photo, they'll take a photo, like a selfie, and their card is in the background. It's like, or our card is in the background. It's so awesome.
I love that. I think, you guys are obviously doing something right. You're doing a lot of things right, but that's very impressive. Yeah, to just get that right off the bat, you're creating buzz about you in a positive way. It's amazing. Were there any other strategies that you guys can think of that you've tried that have either been great or not so great?
Any other?
Well, actually, I think like this strategy with this was actually quite major for us, especially in the beginning. Entering with such a like slogan
like
and
in your face,
yeah,
you know, because there's really a lot of other companies can't say this.
And a lot of people come to us and say, wow, like if someone has such a bold slogan, come talk to you. But also we did the same thing actually when we started, we launched raw food in our store. So we did the same thing on the cooling box. So our raw food gets delivered in cooling boxes. So there's also a different slogan on there. But other than that, I don't know, was there any other?
I mean,
I do, we had mentioned it, but we also have really loved being able to collaborate with other people, other businesses and things like that, because it really has been a win-win where we're creating awesome educational content and offerings for our customers, but we're also now attracting that group of people, and we're introducing our group of people to that brand. Well, in our case, it's not really an introduction at this point. It's usually people that they know, but anyway, so you have kind of that nice crossover where people can choose like, oh, I didn't even know about Dr. Judy before now, but I might want to learn more information from her. Yeah. Or, hey, I didn't even know that UAE had a holistic pet store. Now I'm going to check out their website. So for us, just asking people if they'll collaborate or do something with us, they've almost always said yes in the holistic space. And so I think, again, going back to making that connection with your customers, making that connection with your vendors, making connections with other people in the industry. So that way you have so many options of providing, even if it's just one Facebook Live a month or something, that's still something that you are providing to your customers.
Yeah, actually, that is a really good point. I think collaboration is so important. Also, because if you are in the holistic and natural pet industry or pet society, you are usually one of the few, and it sometimes can feel very lonely. And then connecting with like-minded people and people who have the same mission and the same values can be so amazing. And we really love going to actually meet the people in person as well whenever we can. We're actually going to see you, I think, in March at the Healthy Pet Expo.
Oh, you guys are going to be there. Yeah, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll be there.
So yeah, so that doing these type of things, like if you can at all do it, I think it's really awesome to connect with the people in person as well. And it just creates, it creates a lot of opportunities for us. It has created incredible opportunities because I'm not sure if, I
mean, honestly, for like, thinking about it from the customer's perspective, I mean, this is the first time that they have ever had the opportunity to talk to a brand owner. So when we do these Facebook Lives or Zooms or whatever it might be, it's the first time that they actually have an opportunity to talk to an actual owner, and if they have a question that they really need answered, then they have that direct opportunity to have their question answered. So I think it's a great. I don't know if I like to call it a strategy, because it's not something that we intentionally did to get sales or anything, but because for us it was more about the education. But at the end, it is a strategy. however
a content strategy,
Yes, exactly.
a customer satisfaction strategy, whatever you want to, however you prioritize it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So basically, creating the opportunity for our customers to ask whatever question that they might want to ask, and that's why I said earlier, you will never ever get the opportunity to ask a dry food company or on a Facebook Live whatever you might want to ask them. So
or get an honest answer.
Yeah,
right.
An honest answer. Like exactly. So
Yeah.
I think so. Thank you for mentioning that. So that is actually one of those things that we are so incredibly thankful to have the opportunities to speak to all of these pet health professionals.
And for anyone who's watching right now thinking, oh my God, I could never be in front of the camera, just start very slowly, because we will want there as well. So just, start very slowly, start with a few stories. You can delete them if you didn't like them, but you can also them, because after some time you'll just be like, no, my mission is too big to care about what other people think about me. So
yes,
that's a great point. Yeah, and I would testify that the stories is a great place to practice, because in 24 hours it's gone.
Yeah.
No one sees it again.
You only have to hear your own voice for 24 hours, and then you can forget about it.
Yeah, and then at some point you'll be able to really do it in front of the camera if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. And there are opportunities for people that for one reason or another really don't want to be on the camera. We've also had people where they just come on and basically just do like a guest live. They'll have a topic or something that they want to talk about. And obviously we have to agree to who it is and what they want to talk about, but you don't have to necessarily, put on a big show if you're not that kind of person, you don't feel comfortable. You can also ask if people are willing to do basically guest segments as well. So that way you can start there, because there's so many people that are willing to hop on a Zoom call and whatever, do a quick session. So I wanted to wrap up with some closing thoughts. I think for me, anyone that listens to this webinar, I hope that we have provided at least a little bit of insight and some ideas for things that you might be able to try for your business. At the end of the day, we really need more people in the natural and holistic pet industry. It's not an us versus them, but the big pet food companies are getting richer and richer, and it's very hard for us to compete on that level. And so we're really, for us, we're not focusing on volume, right? We're doing education, all these other things to have a completely different strategy than a lot of the big corporations. So we need more people in this space, and we need more ethical businesses in this space, in my opinion. But the biggest thing for me that I always like to tell people is if you are in a small business or you're starting your own business, things are going to go wrong no matter what you do. You can plan to the T. I'm so type A. It used to bother me so badly when, I would miss something and something would go wrong. I would take it really hard. But what can go wrong is probably going to go wrong. Things you didn't even think could go wrong can go wrong. But you got to keep moving forward. You got to be like Charlie, you said, your mission is strong enough that when you encounter those speed bumps, you keep going and you keep pushing forward. That's really important. Remember why you're doing this, why it's important, why you're passionate about it, because there are going to be those hard times where you're like, why am I doing this? For you guys, I can't even imagine starting from scratch. Like, you guys probably had so many times when you were like, were we insane for thinking this was a good idea?
We've
had to learn how to pivot. You have to learn.
And that's actually a good takeaway too. Something that it is okay to start something and then realize, actually, you know, I want to tweak it a little bit, or I want to go right and I don't want to go left.
Absolutely. Who predicted a global pandemic? I mean, come on, you know, at this point, it's like you got to be prepared for anything, I think, or know how to pivot.
Yeah. And I think what's very important as well to remember is that if you start or if you go into the holistic and natural pet store era, you are going to be different than almost everyone in your community or everyone on the market who you're competing with. And there will be people who don't like what you do, who think you're too radical, or who think you're like, you know, actually, like, we've had to deal with this a lot, where people just don't like what we do. They don't like that we raise awareness and things like that. And we just, it always comes back to, we stay true to what we deeply believe in. And again, actually having your values, your mission, your ethics, knowing them from the start, you can always come back and think, okay, does this right now, does this align with my values? You know, for us, oftentimes it comes down to, do we speak the truth now? Or do we get like kicked out of, you know, this or whatever? But we always, you know, that's our values at the end of the day, is to educate people, to speak the truth, and people appreciate it. Not everyone likes us, but that's okay, because
plenty of other people do.
Exactly. And the pets will be healthier and safer for it. So
I could not have said that better myself. I think we need to clip that little statement and just post it everywhere. Charlie's business advice 101 wrapped up. That was perfect.
Do you want to add anything?
No, I mean, for no, you said it perfectly. I just, like, on the hard days, I do look at our reviews page.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good advice.
It's just filled with so much amazing stories, and we just have like such incredible reviews that I never thought that I used to stand in a pet store one day not knowing what anything was. I'm today able to help, you know, hundreds upon hundreds of pet parents, if not thousands at this point. So I'm just
definitely thousands. Yeah, for sure.
I'm being quite humble. But in all seriousness, you know, I do look at the reviews page just to, you know, make sure, like, you know, get my motivation back up.
Yeah, no, I think finding a way that when, you know, poop hits the fan, that you can stay focused and you can stay motivated is really, really helpful. I do something similar. Yeah, I'll go back and read. We have like a naturally healthy pet of the week, and people always tell us these really amazing stories. And so I'll go back and read things like that to remind myself when it gets hard why I'm doing this. And, you know, I'm like, should I have taken that Wall Street job offer? You know, of course I shouldn't have. This is definitely my mission in life. Yeah. But I think that's really important because, like I said, things are going to go wrong. You're going to have people. We've had people that complain that like something that was for free wasn't good enough, or they didn't get their exact question answered or something. And, you know, there's always going to be people that you're not going to make happy no matter what you do. It can be free and awesome with a company founder, and, you know, there could be someone somewhere that has something negative to say.
Yeah. You just cannot make everyone happy.
No, it's not possible.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for joining me. I am so excited that we got connected. Actually, I'm very excited that you all connected with Adored Beast Apothecary, because then we saw you from them and we were like, who is Paul Dago? We must be introduced. So I'm so glad that we connected. I'm extremely excited that we can meet each other in person in March. We'll have to do something fun, go to dinner or lunch or something. And we will go ahead and send out a recording of this webinar to everyone, hopefully within like the next week. We'll of course send it to you guys. And I will say, for anyone, I'm not going to volunteer you guys, but feel free to email us at Naturally Healthy Pets just info@drjudymorgan.com. If you have any other questions about business, or you're a business owner, you want to get connected, I'm sure there's probably some group or community somewhere of holistic business owners. But anyway, happy to connect, happy to talk further with anyone that has any questions. I'm sure you guys probably have the same policy, but
yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you all so much. This was awesome. And I'm so excited to see you guys. And Dr. Judy is going to do something on your platform at some point too. So we'll be seeing each other again.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you guys. So it's nighttime there. So I guess have a good night, right?
Yes.
It's evening time. 7
Okay.
p.m. Yeah.
All right. Well, I got a full work day ahead of me, but you guys have a fun night. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.